Heck yeah.
Alrighty. You guys hear me, right?
You sound crystal clear.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good.
We good on our end? Everybody good?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is episode 176, and we're talking Universal Monsters, right?
Universal Monsters.
All right, that's the topic. And now we got another band in your eye, and it's okay. We're just gonna
It's fine. It's fine.
we're gonna fight through this one.
You can change my name to Scar. Yeah. He found him living under a bridge.
Welcome to another edition of the Adjust the Mic podcast, episode 176. This is September 11th, 2023. Hat tip to the day. With us, we have a historian, musician, man of many wonders, Mr. Che.
Thank you.
How's it going there, brother?
Pretty good. Mondays are always tough.
Yeah, who'd you bring with you over here? We got Thaddeus Maximus.
Mealtide greetings.
Hello. Do you have any warm-ups? Do you have any little voice warm-ups you want to do for us?
Walrus.
Athlete. Thanks, guys. Monday, around 6 p.m. Thanks for joining us. You came with a topic, man, and I want to talk about it.
The Universal's Monsters.
Yeah. So,
cool.
What brings you?
Well, to me, it's like a tradition. Every time October's right around the corner, we have today's the 11th, so 20 days exactly till the 1st of October, and that's when I start. Doesn't matter what shows are on my apps or through my DVD collection. I always watch horror movies, but every week I dedicate like a week into rewatching the classics: Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Heck yeah. T, are you a horror guy?
Big time.
Yeah,
big time. I used to I was suckled on them movies when I was a kid.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the one that got you hooked from the very beginning?
The Universal's Monsters or the?
Yeah.
I'll have to say, the thing is, I was first interested in the monsters from television interpretations and actually the books, like the actual Frankenstein novel and Dracula, and I found out they made movies of them. It was my uncle for my birthday. He brought me the VHS tapes of the Monsters collection.
Yeah.
And that got me hooked on. I was scared, but I found out these 1930s movies are. As a Bela Lugosi's Dracula can be scary if you watch it in the right climate. Like I'm talking about, watching it at
in
night
a basement,
in pure
darkness,
pure darkness,
with an actual werewolf.
But it was the thing is the scariest Dracula I've ever seen is the Gary Oldman one, the Francis Ford Coppola Dracula. Okay. That was the scariest one.
That was great.
It was the music though. The music was what made it scary. It was an impressive score.
Well, wasn't what it was early 1920s or something when the first was it? I don't know if it was it Frankenstein.
1920s. F.W. Murnau, the German filmmaker, made Nosferatu.
Okay,
that's the first vampire movie.
Okay, and when these movies first started coming out, he gave me a total heads up on the topic, so I kind of watched a couple YouTube videos to act like I'm a professional here and know what I'm talking about. So now I'm an expert on the subject. And there was a YouTube video that I watched where they were talking about how the first time the reference or the categorization of horror, calling something a horror, was very highly debated against Christians and people that were against the scary stuff that's not from them. You're making stuff up over here, and you're just trying to scare and put this fear. So the first movie that this guy had to come out and pretty much give a disclaimer for at first. Oh
yes, you're thinking of the first Frankenstein movie.
Yeah,
the guy who played the guy who came out. Oh no, not I don't want to make the mistake. I think it was the same guy who played Van Helsing and the Bela Lugosi Dracula. But some guy came out of the curtain and he says, "The film you're about to see is very disturbing. It was very scary.
Yeah,
so you've been
exactly.
warned." Yeah,
That was it.
and I remember when I saw, I was like, "Oh, I'm about to see something else." A kid, like, I'm gonna see something really.
Yeah.
And then after I watched it, there were some spooky scenes, or the director. The director for Frankenstein, James Whale, I think, I think he's the director. He did a really good job filming the scene scary, specifically the suspense. In the first Frankenstein movie with Boris Karloff, it was the suspense which made the movie good. He didn't even have to use like suspenseful music. It's just all in the silence. You can I'll give you like an example. Like, this guy was trying to destroy the creature, disassemble him, and the creature was not dead. And you have the creature's hand suddenly moving. The camera's only focused on the hand, and the doctor doesn't know that the hand is moving. And just that right there, the dramatic irony, something that the audience knows but the characters don't.
Gotcha.
And that was to me that's what made the Frankenstein movie, like, other than the makeup and all, and the and there was a big departure from the novel by Mary Shelley, but to me it was the suspense in Frankenstein that really made it.
Well, that Frankenstein kind of didn't that create like a platform, like a ground base and infrastructure on making different and new horror movies, so that all of a sudden they're like, okay, it was all like the shadowing, like how to take a video camera and make a shadowing and get all of these special effects that back then with a black and white camera you're extremely limited. Technology, the whole 9 yards. So it's a lot of propish, like they were talking about the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And him, like, the guy that had to be in that costume for all that time and then do his own stunts, like he's hanging from rock structures on the outside of the buildings, and all these people are cheering, and you have to wear that for 10, 12, 14 hours.
Was it a silent Hunchback of Notre Dame?
I think so, yes.
It was Lon Chaney Sr., who's the father, the guy who was the original Wolfman, Lon Chaney Jr.
Okay,
he was a master makeup art. He did the makeup himself, I understand, and he played Quasimodo in a silent version of the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Exactly.
You're right. Like he did his own stunts.
It's amazing. Like, I mean, T, have you ever done your own stunts, man?
Yes, I wiped out a lot. A lot. Yeah. Me and Kyle Mallory on the bikes, Garden Street, wiping out into the medium.
Okay. Yep. Any like crowd surfing?
I did a for real wipeout during a Christmas parade on Garden Street one time. I tried to hop up on a little medium, and it's like 6th grade, and everybody was lined up there, and I just did the full like $6 million man thing.
Come on.
It was great.
$6 million man.
Yeah.
Did you have like a favorite horror that you had growing up?
Yeah, I was really, from being super young, the effect was from The Creature of the Black Lagoon, because I thought it was over in a lake in a park near Mohican and Hopi in Melbourne. But I think that series of movies, The Fly.
Dude.
But I stayed up and watched all these Universal movies when I was a kid. I would stay up and watch them, all the time.
I mean, they were great. They really were. I didn't stay up and watch it. I remember I had a black and white TV with VHF and UHF. And if I could get even one channel to work, it was either during the holidays for like Snoopy or something, or there was one channel that I swear porn noises came out of it. Like you hear, so you're like, ooh, what is this? And it's all this black and white and stuff. And you're like, get these arms to work. And it just never would work.
That's the strangest white noise I've ever heard.
Yeah. You're back to ball throwing again, by the way. Yeah,
that's right.
Ball throwing detail. Blues just said, "I'm just going to sit on his lap."
No. Never mind about throwing the ball.
Yeah,
I got a question for you guys.
Yeah,
when we say Universal monsters, like, didn't Chucky, like, he was on Universal's deal. But really, are we talking about the classics right up to like the last Invisible Man kind of deal?
I would say through the beginning from late 1920s to through the golden age of Hollywood, 1940s.
Okay.
There were horror movies in the 1950s, but the 1950s, I think that's when you have
Is that when your Twilight Zone and stuff is coming on?
Yeah, I think so. But you also had you remember the movie Ed Wood? He made Plan 9 from Outer Space, and to him that was like his homage to the type of horror movies that he liked. About aliens and zombies and vampires.
Yeah,
it didn't fit. It was one of the worst movies ever made. But I think that was in the 1950s. That movie. But I would say like when I think of Universal's monsters, I think of the classics of Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Invisible Man, Phantom of the Opera, and the Mummy. Yeah.
I remember seeing Phantom of the Opera in middle school in Kentucky, and it was the first like a theater, right? And it was like the square box theater, like you're like everybody's in a circle around this theater, or around this stage, and it was so cool during Phantom of the Opera because this stage was like moving around, opening up, and people were coming out of the. Then the Phantom dudes being up high and coming down, go underneath, and you could hear all these stairs underneath. It was so cool the way that they took a small little theater and a small little stage and packed 500-600 people in there and get that kind of a show. It was really cool. It wasn't until like Circus Soleil where you really step up, but. It was just such a performance, and it's cool. All those, and they're all remakes of these old, Universal monsters.
The backstage stuff, the pulleys, and all the.
It creates everything for creating a story for people to latch onto, or for somebody to be more creative in their writing, to tell a love story like Beauty and the Beast and all these other types of things that draw from the creature. In the horror and the scary, like your fears, playing off your fears, it brought like a whole nother spectrum of movies for everybody to watch other than just your basics from creation.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
That's what I love about the theater because in cinema, we can bring a lot of imagination to life, especially with today's technology, with CGI and whatnot.
And you bring in people like Stan Lee and all these other people that even had comics before him, that coming out and really being able to write in a short story form. All of these Universal monsters were all comic books. In one way or another as well, and they're all highly collectible and can be found, and you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And it just kind of all plays together in this big thing of people love creativity.
And that's the thing, and that's what the best thing about the creativity is that in the theater, like on a stage theater, you can. It's a more realistic. Interpretation. Again, you can have amazing effects on the cinema screen, but on the stage, you can put your arts and crafts together to bring some sort of universe from the stage outward for the audience to see. And the more impressive the direction and the acting is, the more they're captivated, the more they actually see themselves as spectators of another world. Mm-hmm. The concept that the stage is another place and you're just mere audiences of it. Sometimes I go to the Orlando Shakespeare Center and I watch. The last play I saw was in February. I went to see Henry V. If a person wasn't if they were not impressed by it, they'd just see a bunch of guys in medieval outfits attacking each other with swords. Whereas if you were really
He's
captivated
every weekend, man. That's where he's at every weekend.
but if you were to play but if you were captivated by it, you'd be like, oh, I'm watching the Battle of Agincourt. Yeah, I see it's a stage, it's not the real battle, but I can just feel that what's going through.
Dad, get down from now.
You're not part of this. But in fact, and one of the coolest things, I always wanted to watch a horror play, and to come full circle on that. You guys seen the movie or read the book, The Woman in Black?
No.
I saw the movie. It's with Daniel Radcliffe, and really, they did a really good job about it. But they even brought that
What's
story,
it called again?
The Woman in Black.
Okay.
And I think they made a sequel of it. But they actually made a stage version of it, and I really want to see the stage version. I've never seen a horror story told in play form. I saw, when I was a kid, I saw in Sanford an interpretation of Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart. My high school did a play performance of The Raven and
I might have seen this.
The Mask of the Red Death. But again, I've never seen a play professional actors bringing forth a ghost story. Yep, that's it. The Woman in Black. Right there.
I think I've seen that movie. I watch a lot of movies. You brought up a movie, The Fly.
Yeah.
What's the guy that led that?
Back in the day, or
the old school one. He's the man, dude.
the one before that's the one that T got hooked with. But I like that one too. The guy from Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
Jeff Goldblum.
Okay, see, this goes to show how old T is and how old Scott is.
Yeah.
Scott goes, the old school guy, like the OG guy from the 80s.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm from the 40s over here.
If I can just jump in real quick, you said there are two flies. The one with the David Cronenberg fly, the one with Jeff Goldblum. It's not like there's an original fly
That helped me in the spiderweb thing.
That's one from the 1950s.
Yeah, we had the big fly head.
Yeah, that was with Vincent Price, the main character. He's better known from the show. You guys ever seen A Journey to the Bottom of the Sea or Voyage to the Bottom?
Yes.
He plays the second to Richard Basehart.
This guy.
Yeah, this guy. Yeah, I think. And there's Vincent. Vincent Price plays the guy's brother. And
cool load, dude. It looks like you designed that. That DVD cover.
Hey, at the beginning of that Michael Jackson song, Vincent Price, right?
Yeah.
Thriller.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's rad.
I like that. That's so awesome.
And there was Curse of the Fly. I think they teleported a big blob of people mixed together with had to hatchet it. Sorry, go ahead.
In the 50s, I could not imagine.
I think they did. They both getting raided. One guy in New York and one guy in England, maybe, and they're like, I don't want this here, and they're something like that. It probably didn't happen like that. It reads
We
well.
don't fact check, right?
No, that's speculative.
Speculative.
In terms of captivating the atmosphere of horror, David Cronenberg's The Fly is the most horrific one, but the original Fly is more of a mystery and a drama.
Brundlefly. Yeah.
And like in the end, when they discovered the guy's head is attached to the small fly and he's in the spider web.
Okay, yeah, let's tear that apart though, because now you're walking around with like 500 different sets of genes in you anyway. So life of fly. Right?
Yeah,
He was the cool fly, man. He went into that machine.
Yeah, and then
Jeff Goldblum, he did a really good job in that movie.
He did, man. It was awesome. And what's her name again?
That's Gina Davis.
Gina Davis. Yeah.
I remember listening to The Fix a lot when that movie came out.
Cutthroat Island.
My favorite movie with her, I'm just sidestep, was
Ecstasy.
A League of Their Own.
Okay.
Oh, that was a good movie. Yes,
Wasn't Tom Hanks their coach, right?
Mm-hmm. The Reluctant Coach.
Yeah. Yeah, that was such a good movie.
I love my favorite Gina. I'll have to say either the Cutthroat Island or the Accidental Tourist.
Okay.
She was good in both.
Yeah. So The Fly was so good, and then there was Lord of the Flies,
William Golding.
and I loved that one too.
Yeah.
Because that's what, like, when you were kids, like, that was what you thought back when you were young, man. You're like, if we ruled, if we made all the rules, we'd do it this way. And that was pretty gnarly.
It was
I remember
book.
reading that.
Sorry, hold on a second. I read that book in the 8th grade, and I watched both movie adaptations. There's one in the 90s, I think, or 80s, and the other one, so the 1960s interpretation. They're pretty good, but man, William Goldie does a great job just putting you in the scene of this, frightening scenario where, you have children who are become tribal, and this is no longer a game. They're really out for blood if you piss them off.
Yeah, I don't know if it's ever happened. I wish they would have. Some of the scarier people that I've ever known were the Klopeks.
Klopeks.
You know the Klopeks? They never made a movie about the Klopeks directly, like I feel like they should have. But they were probably the most fearsome family that I ever witnessed on television. Y'all know who they are?
Are they real?
The Klopeks?
Is it fiction?
I think they're real.
It rings a bell.
Do you know who the Klopeks are?
No
It's
way.
a trivia. I'm kind of...
No,
I heard of something similar to this word "clo,"
You know
but the
these
name
Klopek
Klopek.
people?
I don't know.
These pecks of clo.
They look different.
Let's let me just type in the Klopeks here and
Klopek.
give you guys a second to kind of process what you're hearing here.
I know of a Kopek, the monetary system in Russia, but
That's what he's talking about.
no. Klopeks.
These freaky creatures.
That
See those guys? Remember from the Burbs?
Oh yeah.
They were the neighbors on the Burbs.
Oh yeah.
like the Burbs.
Yeah, do you remember this movie? It was from the 80s.
I don't think I've seen this movie.
So it's
The Burbs.
it's yeah, dude. Like when he opened the door and he was that color,
Yeah.
it was so creepy.
It looks
Trying to see if I got
it looks like a leprechaun if you discovered
that
social
was the,
media.
That was the evil grandpa right there with the weird hair. So Tom Hanks is in this movie from the 80s, and it's Corey Feldman. It lives across the street, and then there's this other like gray-haired old military vet type of guy that's a neighbor, and then there's this like guy with a wife, a chunkier dude. It's just your average every day. He's got his button up, drinking on the weekends, dad, and they all get in Tom Hanks, right? And his wife, Carrie Fisher's his wife.
Oh,
And right next door, there's this creepy dark house, and the owners of the Klopeks, and they're trying to make friends with them.
yes. Okay. It's
And
ringing a
the
bell.
whole time, it turns into like Corey Feldman has a girlfriend. He's like, dude, this neighborhood is the best. And they're all just sitting outside of his own house saying, dude, it's something cool every time. The old guy down the street's dog is running loose, and they find his hairpiece, and he's missing. And the one guy's like, dude, he's next door to Klopeks in the basement, dude. Every night, dude, they're always bringing trash cans out, and it turns into like a neighborhood investigation. Oh, it's the best, man.
I gotta watch that movie.
And the Klopeks, when they went into that creepy house and sat there and had to have and eat that dinner and all the stuff, it freaked me out. It really, like, legitimately scared me at that age.
It sounds so familiar. I gotta rewatch that. I think if I've watched it ever.
Yeah, man.
So I think I heard Wes Craven in an interview one time, and he's saying something like, I could really deeply scare you, like on another level, but it'd be outside the parameters they got for making films. But when you like it once, just be like, turn him loose. I want to see that one.
Like, he's got some, I mean, Wes Craven is,
Yeah, that's tops.
He was one of the best.
I mean, Stephen King, I feel like he deserves his recognition every time. You talk like one of my guys I work with that works with our company. He was a truck driver for a long time. He was the driver in Pet Cemetery.
No way.
So like the truck driver and from the original Pet Cemetery, he was the guy behind the wheel of the truck in the movie. And so he goes to all the Comic-Cons and all like some of the photo op events, where Pet Cemetery and stuff is still highly, and signs autographs and stuff. And Pet Cemetery was scary. Don't get me wrong. You go bury somebody in the cemetery and it turns into real people. That was scary. It was not as scary as Cat's Eye, though. I'm sorry. It was not as scary as Cat's Eye from Stephen King with the little evil troll guy that came out from the wall and it disappeared. And he would be it, and he had that little tiny knife, and he would like point it at you, and he'd suck the breath out of you while you're asleep. And the cat was trying to save your life.
Right?
Yes,
I love that film.
That's the one.
That
was my movie.
Pets. I watched pieces of Pet Cemetery. That movie, I used to get it confused with another movie called Pumpkinhead. And you guys seen Pumpkinhead before?
Pumpkinhead. I've heard of Pumpkinhead. I think I know Pumpkinhead. I'm not 100%, but
a guy like buries. I think his kid died, and he wants to bring his kid back to life, so he buries him in forbidden burial grounds, and he comes back as a monster. And the first thing he does, he goes after the people that killed him or by accident. But
I think I remember that one.
South Park kind of makes fun of Pumpkinhead. You guys remember that there's like this. He appears once in a while. This farmer who keeps on warning the adults in the movie. In the show about taking further action about something like don't bury your son there, or talks about the milkman.
I don't know this one. I don't know.
Anyways,
like act it out for me. Give me one scene
from Pumpkinhead or the example from what South Park was making fun of.
With it too.
Well, no, basically I think like the most vivid memory I have of that movie was. These young adults were basically driving wild out in the middle of the desert or in the plains just to have fun, but they were near the main character's property, and his kid was walking about on the property, and then they were watching the kid, and they ran into the kid. I don't know.
That guy's Pumpkinhead, that big old alien looking thing?
Yeah, I think so. And
whoa.
That's what I like.
That looks creepy, that guy.
They have a medication.
Well, I think that's the I think that's the kid who was raised from the dead.
You can see his piece on the bottom there.
Well, I think that's the kid who was raised from the dead. I need to rewatch that movie. But anyways.
That's okay. Then the other one they used to give me back in the day was Children of the Corn.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh yeah. Cornfields for a while there were not okay. It was just creepy, man. There was something about it.
I remember I read the story, and I didn't really understand Stephen King's description or lack thereof of what exactly resided beneath the corn, but even the movie didn't really make much sense of it. But it was a good movie. It was basically, we were talking about Lord of Flies a minute ago, and here you have Children of the Corn, where you have a dystopia ruled by kids based on supernatural fanaticism.
Are you guys into Jeepers Creepers?
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's cool.
Jeepers Creepers got me, man. It was the first. It was good. It was kind of like childlike. You know what I mean? It had this like the way it was marketed. I felt like wasn't it more of a kids kind of horror? It did. It lived up and some. It was gnarly.
The ending really disturbed. I watched it as a teenager. Yeah. The ending disturbed me because of what the creature did at the very end. The screams alone of the character.
Are there any like Dracula? Okay, so Dracula is one of the first, right? And he's had so many remakes. There's been Dracula after Dracula. What's the best Dracula? Like
in terms of like
Oldman.
Yeah, like I would say the movie, the adaptation that closely captures Dracula is the Francis Ford Coppola one, the Gary Oldman one.
Okay.
In none of the movies do they capture Dracula's description, because if I remember correctly, in Dracula, which is largely an epistolary novel, it's just based on made up letters by the characters talking about this mysterious count. In every description, in the description of Dracula when he's in London, looks like more of an old man than this young, charming count that's a vampire. But I mean, like I said, the one with Gary Oldman, Francis Ford Coppola, it's the best in terms of loyalty to the novel and capturing the horror wrapped up in this silk blanket of finesseness, of just eloquence of the late 18th century customs. I think that was it really captures the spirit of Dracula and the time period that it was set. Of course, it wasn't 100% loyal, but it was the most loyal of all the adaptations.
Yeah.
Was the Defoe one that was with Malkovich, John Malkovich?
Oh, Shadow the Vampire.
I like that performance. It was epic.
That's like what one would call a historical fantasy, like Tarantino's Inglorious Bastards or Django, because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because
Three Glasses.
When you
What did you say?
when he asks for milk, right? Three glasses. But no,
what was her name? The Veronica Cornish? No, it was
Morningstone.
the woman that was in the basement that.
Oh, Shoshana?
The one that had the messed up leg. That
Diane Kruger's character. I can't.
Shoshala. That woman.
Oh yeah, from with the three fingers.
But that one, the Shoshala girl, the French from. I'm sorry, we're on Inglorious Bastards, people. I'm so sorry.
Is it Shoshana, the Jewish girl that ran away?
The girl that ran away, like that beginning scene of Inglorious Bastards for me, was like. I was about to stand up and clap at the theater when I first saw that first opening scene. As she's running away and he like pulls the gun out, and just pops it back in, and then when he sees her when they have that dinner. Well, I got the chills when she had to sit, you know what I'm saying? Like after that happened in that history, man, that's one of my favorite movies probably that's ever made.
Well, no, that scene was well made. It was like, and the music timing was great when she realized that the guy that killed her family was literally standing right behind her. One thing, the only note I have,
she's the hottest woman in the world, by the way.
The actress who plays Leas. No, that's I think a different French actress.
The little Nazi soldier that was chasing her around, that'd been me.
The actor plays him, Daniel Bruhl.
Yeah.
The only issue I had with the beginning was this combination of Fury with spaghetti Western music at the beginning.
It was.
I don't know.
Good,
I didn't latch onto that part.
It was all good, dude.
Like they're German. Let's play Beethoven too.
They're under the floorboards, aren't they? Dude, wait. That back and forth was.
It diggled your daggle.
It did, man. I love the dude that was out there chopping wood and come inside. He was all stone faced, and he was trying to keep it short and sweet, And then finally he got him. He got him to break. You know what I mean? And when he got him to break and he caught like that.
Well, I'll say this though.
That's why the ending's so good.
The ending. The ending was
when they Nazi'd his forehead. That was for me. That was like full circle from the very beginning. Of the way he got, how he tricked him.
Mm-hmm.
That was, Brad Pitt's character tricking him. I got you to turn in, but I still get to do what I get to do to you. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And
I want my scalps.
He didn't get a scalp though. He did carve that swastika.
All my gaming names, and stuff is like out of the Apache.
Oh, gee.
Like, a Hugo Stiglitz is my favorite. Fucking love Hugo Stiglitz.
I love the one last thing I'll say about Inglorious Bastards. I love the neck scar they had they put on Brad Pitt. When he it looked like he was cut.
You look so good.
It was like to me. This is like no scar says this guy has been through actual action than a scar.
That's probably my favorite role that he's ever been in.
Or over the eye
in a movie.
With Brad Pitt?
Yeah. Gorlami. When they were drilling him in the movie theater.
As
Dominic DeCoco.
I would say, well, Inglorious Bastards is not a horror movie.
Yeah, we just changed the whole episode title and everything. We're good.
Oh yeah, exactly. No, I was gonna say,
half and half.
I was gonna say, it could just say it's a horror movie to historical fanatics. Anyone like this did not happen in history. This is not accurate.
Well, I mean, there was the bear Jew, and there, and he was the golem. There's no golem. The golem. But see that movie Shadow of the Vampire, just like Inglorious Bastards, it's a historical fantasy. It's Murnau did make Nosferatu, and he didn't have permission by Bram Stoker, the writer of Dracula, but so he had to make up his own vampire.
And that's the old version of that, right?
Yeah, the first. It's a historical movie about the making of the first vampire movie, and there was an actor named Max Schreck who plays Count Olaf, who was the first Count Dracula in cinema. But Scott, have you seen the movie?
Which one is it?
Shadow of the Vampire.
I don't think I have. No.
Well, basically, the fantasy part comes in where the director, Murnau, who's played by Malkovich, he makes a deal with an actual vampire to star as the vampire in the movie because he says, who can better play the vampire than an actual vampire? And Willem Dafoe plays the vampire who calls himself Max Schreck so that he can appear in the movie. And the director makes a deal. You appear in my movie. You do what I tell you, and I'll let you basically have my film crew.
Like snacks.
Yeah.
Oh.
But Dafoe did awesome in that. He deserved the Oscar that year.
I've ever seen. I need to. This is one I need to watch.
It's so worth it.
Che, is the last voyage of the Demeter, is that the same category kind of deal?
Actually, it is. In the Dracula, not in the story Dracula, when Dracula makes it from the Balkans all the way to England, he's on the boat called the Demeter, and he basically feasts on the sailors one at a time till they get to England. And the captain of the ship, I think he ties himself to the steering wheel or to the what's the word on the ship? It can't be steering wheel.
It's the I don't know what they call it. What do they call it? Thing, the big wheel.
Yeah, that's
the steering wheel,
not the
thing that controls the rudder.
Yeah,
we're lost. We don't know.
Well, for those who know their those who know their naval
steering wheel.
For those who know the terminology, my apologies. But the captain tied himself to that. He was like the last victim to be eaten by Dracula. And so, yeah, the last voyage of the Demeter is basically a movie concentrated on all those sailors that got eaten by Dracula.
Okay, now are you with he has to have soil from his native land, and he can't stand over running water. Is all that stuff like ring a bell with you? Oh
yeah, the gypsies.
Like Dracula will die if you stab him in the heart, or if he stands over running water, right?
And he has to sleep on soil if it's his land. So he hired gypsies to stay away from the sun. He hired gypsies to basically fill up crates with soil from Transylvania, and he would basically sleep in those Transylvania soil crates so that he can still travel while being in his own soil.
Wow. That's
I think they're just called ship wheels, bro.
I'm sure there's a word
Yeah.
for it.
Like I'm on Amazon right now. And,
We could go
and I didn't mean to go here. I was like on Google, and it just keep clicking, and everything is saying ship wheel. And I click on it and go, oh, it's a ship wheel there too.
I'm no expert in ships.
try
but
jibbing the jive.
like $65 for the $65. And that's, I'm sure there is a word
the
for
rudder.
it.
Not the rudder.
Back,
butter.
and back to the movie, John Malkovich and William Dafoe, just as actors, they're so amazing. Like William Dafoe is just, he's something else, man. He's just so good in his roles, man.
He is. He's one of the best I've seen ever since when I was a kid. The first movie I saw him, I remember he was the first movie I saw him in was Speed 2.
You didn't see the one with Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern? Was that before that?
Nicolas Cage
They're in the desert.
No,
Or maybe
no,
that.
Well, it's cool you mentioned Nicolas Cage because Nicolas Cage produced Shadow of the Vampire, and he was saying in commentary, "Oh, I picked Willem Dafoe and John Malkovich to be in this movie because I work with Willem Dafoe in this movie, the one you mentioned, and I work with John Malkovich and Con Air, and so I wanted them together in this movie." So,
Okay.
which is kind of cool. And I was like, "What is that movie that he's talking about?" And I couldn't find it.
He's just in so many movies.
Speed 2 with the big smile he does.
It goes on and on and on. I mean, what does he do in his life? I think he just goes from one movie set to the other. Does he even live anywhere but a movie set? I mean,
You talking about Nicolas Cage?
No, William Dafoe.
You want me to call him?
When you go 2017, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movies. 2017, 2016, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
That's
movies.
a lot. Yeah. Busy.
2014, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 movies. 2013, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Busy.
7,
Busy.
8 movies. I mean, this guy's just putting out like multiple, like, it's insane. The Boondock Saints was a big one that I, have fond memories of him in.
Lost Boys. I got to say Lost Boys, and I got to say Phantom of the Paradise. Did you catch that one with
Lost
Paul
Boys
Williams? There, Che?
Lost Boys.
The Phantom of the Paradise.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Phantom of the Opera deal from the 70s with Paul Williams.
Nope, I can't say that I have.
Little trivia nugget. But Lost Boys, yeah.
No, tell me. Yeah, what's the trivia nugget?
The one before that.
Oh, I thought you were about to tell me a fun fact.
No, but pretend I did.
That was impressive to you. I had
Thanks,
no
man.
idea. Oh, I just remember what you called the wheel. I think I know what you call the wheel.
What? The wheel?
The helm.
The helm.
I think it's the helm. I think it's the helm.
He's lost himself to the helm.
I could still be wrong, but
Helmsman.
I'm going with the
I'm
helm.
I'm gonna believe you.
I'm saying helm, yeah.
Let's take a break on that.
Okay, cool.
Did you turn the rudder? Helm, yeah. because I write with my left hand.
The Rudyard Kipling.
The right ear is not hearing.
I know, it's right here. Right here.
Right, you're saying right here, right?
Right on, mate.
Oh, I can hear you. Perfect.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool.
I thought I said right ear. I thought he said right here.
I'm gonna eat some gummy eyeballs.
How do you like those gummies?
They're good, man. We are back from break. We're going to get into some more movie talk here with Mr. Che and Thaddeus Maximus over here.
Thank you.
Indeed.
All right. Well, before break, where were we?
We were talking about the Voyage of the Demeter, or we're talking about Willem Dafoe,
Inglorious Bastards.
Inglorious
Willem Dafoe. God, he's the man. Inglorious Bastards. We kind of dug into a little bit. We can quote all day. We started quoting something out back here before we came back on mic here. What were we talking about?
Other than Inglorious Bastards?
No, yeah, right when we had a whole game plan. We're going to come in. We talked about everything.
We kind of we did.
I forgot everything that we talked about outside.
We kind of made full circle historical fantasy.
What are we talking about, guys? I don't remember.
Jesus.
Now he's changed his demeanor.
To Demeter. Always to the Demeter. We talked about you once asked you asked a question like how did these horror movie how did these horror stories become like a category? You're saying that people once debated on their categorization. People have been telling ghost stories, scary stories. I think even during the Romantic period, there was a famous story by a writer named Gregory Lewis called The Anaconda. And it's supposed to be a scary story about how these people are stuck with an anaconda on the property. And it's like, basically that's the whole thing, that the anaconda is a threat, man versus nature type. But we have...
Anaconda is a threat. Unless your name is Frank.
So what?
Unless your name is Frank. And then you ride on anacondas.
Frank Rob.
Oh, just
Gator Frank.
Gator.
Anaconda Frank.
He rides on anacondas.
No. He actually has a tangle with anaconda.
He's like a little harness, and he gets on the back of him and it ties him in. Make sure that he can't get spun around on.
Oh, if J-Lo and Ice Cube had him. I know how to handle this thing.
Frank knows a guy.
Frank's awesome. I haven't spoken to him. It was like last time I saw him was a few years ago.
Yeah.
He's back.
He'll be back. Be on here this week, maybe later.
I'd like to see him again.
Thursday-ish.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk.
Talking about hand-me-down horror stories and what they mean to us humans.
Yeah, like this stick, for example, Frankenstein, one of the greatest examples of the horror story. It all started as a bet between Mary Shelley and her friend Lord Byron. Mm-hmm. And Lord Byron said that, I bet you can write a ghost story. And she says, I bet I can. And so she writes Frankenstein. Thing is, her husband Percy Shelley tried to convince her to publish it as the modern Prometheus, because yes, she wrote a story that's scary, but like any responsible storyteller, she wants to teach a lesson in her story, to teach the conflicts between man and God, to put man in God's shoes for a second, to give life to something, and then to not be there for that life. And then should man or should this God assume responsibility for whatever the creation has done? It was an excellent lesson, because during this time, the Romantic period, people were questioning not religion itself, but the authority on which religion has held over people. Not so much questioning the existence of God. They're questioning whether or not, are we really to blame for our sins? What makes a human to err as human? but are we? We are responsible for our actions, but if there is a God, if there's a God, is he not also responsible for our actions?
Yeah.
Mary Shelley wanted to call it Frankenstein. Her husband says Modern Prometheus. So the original publication, I think, has both Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus. Her husband, Percy Shelley, even wrote a play called Prometheus Unbound, which made Zeus the antagonist and Prometheus the hero, because he challenged authority to say, we deserve innovation. We deserve to be free, to be innovative. Which is
that Percy? You said Percy?
Percy Shelley. Percy Bliss Shelley.
Is it Percy Jackson, the movie? Is that based on Percy Zeus's son?
Percy Jackson in the series is short for Perseus in that case. Or like, it's, yeah.
Because I watched that movie, Percy, that kid, and they had that little school for all the god's sons. All the sons, and they all had, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That movie was great.
Well, I like that movie. The novel, of course, was better, but it was good.
I'm tying your eloquently said perspective with Percy Jackson movies.
But you're that's okay. It's for like, remember you're talking to us of how awesome The Foundation was, the show The Foundation.
So good.
But I'm still working on Paw Patrol.
That's true. That's true.
I'm just joking.
I'm all sitting there fluffing up like Foundation and how big it is, and he responds like, "Yeah, I'm still trying to get through Paw Patrol."
It's a puppy in a helicopter. Come on, you can't beat that. No, I don't watch.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. I was gonna also interject real quick, and I'm going to shine a goofy light on what you're saying. So many things that are written for public consumption, you know, it has to draw at you emotionally in some way, right? Either it's like a happy emotion, a caring, a curious, a scary. You know, it's all emotion. I mean, that's the whole point, right? It's entertainment. We're trying to entertain people and make them want to watch this. And when you start with Universal Monsters, you get these first people that are like, we're going to make monsters and we're going to make them, you know, do this. And it's going to be like a story. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to have fear and beauty all in the same. You get movies like Beauty and the Beast that come. So you get years and years, and just every year, hundreds and thousands of movies are being made.
Repeated formulas.
That are within all of this scary genre. But then, all of a sudden, the TV series comes out, and it puts it all into one. And it's one of the best series ever made. The Winchester brothers.
I heard of it.
Were a part of this, you know. So Samuel Colt is a part of this. A God is a part of this. Every creature that's ever, whatever you are, you have been in this series. And women and men like me all across the world now go to Comic-Cons or little shows to see these people and take pictures with it. Supernatural. The TV series Supernatural, this got like 19 seasons. They have tackled every single, you know, monster or fairy tale or ghost. It dove into God, you know, in the later series, and then you're dealing with angels and it's the Winchester. So you got Samuel Colt, you got like real people that are kind of written into this story as well. But the reason I'm bringing it up is like, it's that series tackles every single one of these monsters, ghost stories, wise tales. It gives you the history. It's really kind of cool. But at the same time, it's writing in the feel-good story of two brothers that, you know, their mother was taken from them. It pulls at the heartstrings of that too. So even within them talking about all of these different horror stories, it's all written in the same kind of way.
I heard of Supernatural. I'd like to see it. Now that you explain it that way, I would like to see it.
It's everybody makes fun, like all my friends at work, like, you watch what?
You said 19 seasons.
Oh man, that's a lot.
There's if I may, there's a show. I haven't seen it, this one either, but I hear like from my friends who watch it that incorporates famous elements of horror storytelling or supernatural storytelling, like oh come on, why did I forget his name? Like Dorian Gray, or mainly famous late 19th century literature references. It's called Penny Dreadful.
Oh, I watched that. That was really good. Yes, very similar. Eva Green.
Yep, Eva Green from the
OMG
Casino Royale.
Cool. Let's put her on the top of the food chain list of women.
Have you seen her in Kingdom of Heaven?
I saw her in Kingdom of Heaven, and I also saw her in the 300, the second one.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
she goes, yep.
Seen it.
What about have you seen her in Dark Shadows?
Yes, I have.
She does a good job in that
cool,
one.
Yeah.
Man, she's so pretty. It's the eyes, man.
Was yours? You have Apple TV?
Yes.
Yeah, of course you have the Foundation.
Oh yes.
There's a show. I think it's a miniseries with her and Vincent Cassel. And she speaks French in this. I think she's from France.
Dickinson?
No, I forgot the title, but it's Eva Green and Vincent Cassel. Let's see.
I'm not sure.
That's a be.
M. Night Shyamalan's been doing a lot in here. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Let me look it up real quick.
The Foundation, though, like, man, it's been fantastic. It's all sci-fi, so that'll be for another episode, I'm sure. Because if you guys get caught up on that, the Foundation is something that only me and my friend Jared at work. He's the only other person I can talk to about it because he's a huge, fan as well. And today it was awesome because we just watched the second to the finales this coming Friday. And it's such a slow series. The first 2 seasons, it's like, man, it's kind of like Game of Thrones when it has a couple full seasons where you're like, not a lot happened. I feel like it's got so much to set up because the Foundation is based off of mathematics, and having a mathematic, I can see the end of what's going to happen here through mathematics.
Interesting.
And then it's
like
the
that.
Empire that does not want mathematics to overcome their power and their reign. So it's mathematics versus the power of this empire. But Empire, it's dawn, day, and dusk. So it's 3 versions of the same person. They're clones.
I remember that.
There's one Cleon the first, figured out how to clone to make himself live forever. And so from that first Cleon, now it's a child Cleon. Then there's a middle-aged Cleon, and then there's an old Cleon. And the Cleons, I'm not going to say anything more, but they are in power. And this one Harry Seldon guy is a mathematical genius, and he figured it out, came to them and said, y'all are about to go down. And now it's the battle between who's right, who's wrong.
Interesting.
And it's, that's what Star Wars, everything about Star Wars, of how it's been created, the ideas, Imperials, a lot of the terminology. When you watch Foundation, you're going to go, wait a minute. Like, because George Lucas, openly says, all of my inspiration for Star Wars is from this series.
Well, so
they couldn't make it back then.
So in essence, Star Wars was inspired by Asimov.
Yes, 100%.
And that's the thing. Like, I'll be I'm very picky about my sci-fi. I like H.G. Wells' type of sci-fi, but I also like I like Star Wars. I like Star Trek. I even like Predator.
Oh man, those are some Predator, is that a horror, sci-fi horror
adventure thriller?
Okay. Because that was gnarly, man.
But I remember my grandfather. He gave me a book on Asimov's. It's iRobot. He got me the book iRobot, which is it's a compilation of robot stories.
Yeah,
and I fell in love with Asimov. He's really good at describing things, almost as good as H.G. Wells.
Okay.
But he, like I said, there is mathematics in his logic in his style of writing. He thinks mathematically in his writing, and that's the only reason why I'd watch The Foundation, just because if it has Asimov's footprints all over this.
Well, and they wanted to make this years ago. They wanted to make that series, and the special effects for what they're trying to do and how they're trying to do it could not match up to the technology at the time. They spent a lot of money on this series, like billions, and it shows. I will warn you, it's very slow at first. It's very slow, but once it kind of gets going, when Jared walked in, we watched last episode. He goes, it's finally getting good. Like, we're finally getting excited because it's finally starting to get some we're starting to get some answers that we've been asking since the first season, first couple episodes. Some of that stuff is finally coming to be. I guess they're talking about it being up to 8 seasons.
Well, I saw that when I came in, I saw you were watching that episode, and I was,
man.
It kind of reminds me of Atlas Shrugged, and
okay,
because that's the Ayn Rand novel. It was her attempt at sci-fi.
Wow.
And of course, Ayn Rand is known for writing literature that's critical of collective societies.
Well,
and go ahead.
No, keep going.
No. And I just saw the way how that I'm sorry, because I haven't seen it. Who's that? He had like a disfigured face. He was making a speech at the center. He was like short. He was making a speech about the importance of this. What are the imperial notions? It really sparked something of what the typical antagonistic collective society in an Ayn Rand novel would say. I was like, is this Asimov or just a loose version of Ayn Rand? And you educated me on the subject.
This is one little section that I think you'll dig is part of in this series. Now we've just totally changed over to this series because it's so good. I'm sorry, guys.
So good.
The Foundation, the Dawn or Dusk. I'm sorry, or Dawn. Your older guy, right? He's lived his life of being Empire. His job, like there's jobs. You have the young, your Dusk. He's being taught. They're at dinner every night, eating all just them 3 together, discussing the day, discussing the times, what's happened. If one of them dies, I won't tell you what happens, but it's weird. But what he does, his job as Dawn, is to tell the story of his life by using art and by using these paints and these colors, and they paint it on the wall and it creates the story and it kind of moves and stuff. But he spends his days just drawing and adding to the big mural in their empire that people can walk for days and talk about, oh, this is when that happened, that's when this happened, that's when this. It's like in a visual way they're telling the story for their society, but it's Dawn's job, the actual person themselves, to tell and write the story that happened themselves. It's really interesting. It's the way they tell it and the way it shows, because it lets them walk and reflect on that, and like memories and things come back because of that. It's really interesting.
It is. It's the fact that one person is tasked to present the history that the people are to know, and that it's not to make another reference for 1980, the George Orwell's novel 1984. Main character, his job was to find new ways to limit speech, which they called newspeak. Not to say that this character is changing the history, but it's very interesting that in these sci-fi novels or in these sci-fi series, whenever we look at the future, we always usually come back to a society that's more restrictive, and and access to the past has always been under a rigid control by those on top. Now, one can say, well, that's happening right now. The textbooks in schools are subjective, but these sci-fi stories that I've been reading are way more rigid, and it's really interesting how those who have conceived these notions of a more that the future's more dystopian, which I think is not that it's not far out. It's very possible.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I feel we're heading that way, but my point is that these notions of limited freedom, it always ends up with one common theme, and that is the fault in our humanity. Mm-hmm. It comes in the mistakes of the past bring the consequences of the future. Now, one would say, duh.
Big time. Yeah.
But like, think of like H.G. Wells as a time machine into the future, where it's just people are herded as livestock to be eaten by the oh, come on, what did I forgot? The Morlocks.
Yeah. These
just bestial types of beings that, you know, feed on actual people. And H.G. Wells was a socialist. He was a Fabian. He was a special type of socialist. I can get into details later, but it's all about, you know, how we basically go to war with each other so much that we send ourselves back to a Stone Age type period.
All day, yeah.
And now, Foundation or 1984 is nothing like that. But you know, if you read Ayn Rand's Chronicle, people have done that, where a collective society will not let people know anything of the past. Main character discovers electricity. No, that's from the past. You shouldn't. Shame on you. And he leaves the society because, no, I want to learn more. And he separates from himself. But with every sci-fi novel, or not every sci-fi novel, with these series, even the most popular ones, it always shows that it always ends up with a ragtag group of people or the struggling individual that tackles with conscience and action on dealing with the current situation and reflecting on how things have been in the past.
Yeah. I mean, it's going at our nature to keep our attention, right? It's something that like power is a crazy thing, you know, and like a lot of these movies, a lot of these things are meant to take our attention. There's so many people, right? There's so many minds that a society is going to try to turn into, like, okay, one mindset. We all need to be one here. We all need to think together, to work together, because it makes us all more powerful. And anybody that goes against that, you know, an outlier, like sometimes he's a hero in society, and sometimes he's the worst thing. You know, he's what's wrong with everything. And I mean, us as humanity, we don't usually learn from our mistakes, and there's some mistakes that we learn from. Like if you go through history and see the overtures of okay, we're gonna have this war right here because we want to be free. You know, because these people are coming to take our women and do, you know, all of these, you know, that story is being written as a part of history. That story is being told from history. Yet we're living right now, and we've been told and written about in movies, in plays, and you name it. And yet we're still trying to all kill each other. You know what I mean? Just because we think differently or we act differently. You know, today's September 11th. Right now in society, you have people that believe that we did that to ourselves, or that we enabled that. Then you have the reality of probably what happened. Then there's a million different versions out there, and that webbing and that like someone makes a movie. Like right now, back in the day, I mean, that was like, okay, this is just entertainment to take my mind off of the bad things. It's a propaganda tool at the same time, and now it's taken the trust of people. That purity of entertainment has taken the trust of people, and now every time they watch something, they go, "Are they trying to manipulate me to think this way? Is this or is this just your own like natural way of trying to make me think about something that's bad in the world. Like everything's got a narrative or a something now.
And that's I'm sorry, but that's a perfect segue for this solution. Scienza potenza est. Knowledge is power. I said it in Latin because it makes you look smarter. No, but knowledge is power.
Can you say that real quick?
Ego sum weirdo.
Yes.
Ego sum weirdo. I'm a weird.
Ego sum weird.
Oh, weird. There you go.
Gorlami.
I'm a
Weirdo.
weird means man.
Right.
And so ego sum weird. I'm a man.
Arrivederci.
River deer.
Arrivederci.
I'll do rain.
Yeah.
Arrivederci.
Yeah.
Buongiorno.
Gorlami.
The river deer chief.
Sorry. So to get back, you say, if people are when dealing with the political nature of it, who did what, who is to blame, what really happened, it's the duty of every citizen to undertake matters into their own hands and finding the truth. Now, I'm not saying, to take up arms, but to research for yourself which outlets are telling you the truth and which are not. Therein lies the power. I mean, look at sorry to bring him back. Look at H.G. Wells. The theme in almost every of his novels: Invisible Man, Time Machine, Dr. Moreau, even War of the Worlds. Knowledge is power. How will knowledge be used between species or between people amongst each other? Are we going to use it for good, like the time traveler did? Are we going to use it for bad, what Holly Griffin did in The Invisible Man? Or what Dr. Moreau does with his obsession with vivisection and interchanging species? How are we going to react when, in the face of a tragedy, we want to know truth, and we should know what facts are beneath it. But on the other hand, how much are we going to let our emotions to blind us or to distract us from seeking the truth? In other words, don't cherry pick what information coincides with your emotions. And it's a tricky thing because
there's such a spectrum, I mean, there's life experience is such a spectrum within itself. So getting a reaction or a mutual understanding is it's a mathematical equation that has not been solved.
It's I think one person once told me mathematics is the language. Someone told me or I read it. I've heard it somewhere. Mathematics is the language of certainty.
Yeah.
And like what I remember how I spoke with a colleague. I said, no, mathematics is the most important fundamental in learning. And she said, no, reading is. But then again, mathematics, it's in itself a form of reading. It's its own. It's a different approach. It's not even approach. It's a different form of reading of numbers.
I get a big fat F in that one because my brain don't compute math like that. So
it's hard to.
That's
My
not my
brain
language.
doesn't either. Some people can go multiple layers. Like I'm sitting here talking to my buddy Jared sometimes, and he'll start doing some math equation in his head to break down something to a certain level, and it's like, while he's sitting there already at the answer level, I'm sitting here trying to calculate in my head how he got that number so quickly. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just, I'd never. Yeah.
I need a Thadbacus.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a lot to think about, though, man.
Hey, but you're trying to get to a nugget, and probability of things getting shitty better. Maybe some 2 cents from T, like tip the scales with little baby steps of like good vibes, encouragement, patience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
but being okay with someone thinking and acting
no,
different than you,
and like that's it to take it through baby steps. In education, we call that scaffolding.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's easy.
Just
Makes sense.
If you don't get the big picture, let me walk you through it. It's going to take a while, but we'll get you through it.
Exactly.
Everyone at their own pace, of course. Yeah. That demonstrates how much the person who wants to learn is willing to learn. How far are they willing to learn? How far are they willing to say that's enough for me? I don't care to get to the core of the subject.
What if you're a vampire? How does that all weigh in?
Oh, as long as there's no light involved or garlic. No, that
silver if you're a werewolf.
Here's a good example. So to go back to Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Francis Ford Coppola one with Gary Oldman. I remember when I saw that movie as a kid, I was like, "Hey, that's not Dracula." My parents said, "Yes, he is." Like, no, he's walking in daylight. Vampires can't walk in daylight. Gary Oldman's walking in daylight, flirting with Winona Ryder, and then so I rewatched the movie, and apparently Anthony Hopkins, who's the Van Helsing, an Orthodox priest, and apparently the narrator. I think he's the narrator. He says, contrary to popular belief, vampires can actually walk in daylight. Like, oh, how convenient!
Yeah.
But we talk about walking through language.
Yeah. Or you got Daywalker in Blade, which is
true.
That's true. Daywalker.
It's got some. He was born right at the right time as the juices were
great.
just right.
Oh yeah, he also
those light juices.
Well, Billy is a half vampire, I believe. Before a Marvel fan contradicts.
I mean, you guys are missing one of the best vampire movies. I mean, we haven't even mentioned it. I mean, it's my friend Jared. He had the books growing up. Twilight. Sorry, Jared.
I've seen it.
Not sorry.
I read some. I read. They're not bad books. I was thinking of the movies.
Jared, his sister had the books, and we like. I actually watched. They made fun of me. I watched Twilight, like all of them, and it wasn't because I just like thought they were so good. It's just I watched the first one, and then I'm like, I'll watch the next one. I'll watch them, but it wasn't like I was at the theater watching all these like I was Lord of the Rings and anything else that was actually. But like I didn't dislike them. I didn't think they were horrible, but it was cheesy, romancy.
Yeah,
you had a werewolf. That's the Indian guys. They're the wolves. And you got all these pale white guys, they're the vampires, and there's inner love, right, with a wolf and a vampire. And it's like
old European connections, right, Che?
There's some super duper love, like the vampires sparkle like diamonds in the sun, in the sunlight.
Well, the thing is, I think Suzanne. I know what's the name of the writer? Oh man, I don't. I think it's no.
That's where it's at.
I think. To me, I think the story wasn't bad.
Did you cry?
No.
Did you?
What?
Did you cry?
No.
T, did you cry during Twilight?
No.
I watched the first Twilight. I wasn't really interested in the sequels with respect to the actors and filmmakers and all that. But I tried to and I read the first book. No. To me, I felt the romance kind of ruined it. I mean, I understand the romance is an important part of the book, but I felt it was way too much romance and not enough.
Jared thought the same thing. Hey, he's gonna hate me for this.
Yeah, it had that genre vibe, that heavy like
it was super romance lovey,
dipped in sugar.
Like
totally.
think of like
those big thick paperbacks that old moms read like intensely.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Harlequin.
Yeah,
I had friends who loved the Anne Rice vampire books, and I used to think I thought like the only vampire book to me that matters is Bram Stoker's Dracula. But of course, I was not that educated because I was unwilling to read Anne Rice. So I read Anne Rice's work. Pretty good. She's really good. And with descriptive languages, he's really good at storytelling. I would definitely recommend if someone likes to read vampire fiction other than Bram Stoker, definitely Anne Rice. There's a reason why she's popular. She's damn good. But I will say that you guys made a point about what was it?
South Park.
No, not South Park. I don't even hear the word South Park.
Dr. Mephisto and the 8-ass swine.
Yep.
No, hold on a second.
That ring a bell, bro?
Hold on a second. Before I forget the thought, real quick. Come on. What was it?
Vampire movie.
Talking about the books. Bram Stoker's book was great.
It's a Bram Stoker book. But basically it's I don't think anyone should be discouraged from reading it. I mean, I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't think the movie did it justice, but people are like reading about vampires and werewolves and that. Yep. By all means, take a look.
Maybe you can give us a I don't know. Are you excited about any new sci-fi horror kind of things coming up?
Yeah, Dune for sci-fi. I like
Dune. That preview looked pretty good. I liked it.
I wasn't a fan of Dune until my cousin persuaded me to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just because I think my cousin likes Timothy
Did you watch
Chalamet.
the old Dunes?
She asked me to watch the new Dune, but I said nope. I'm going to watch the old one. I didn't even read the novels, but
the Atreides and all this, and
I
the Dune is okay. My friend Brad, back when we ran like track and cross country down War Eagle, like he after practice, sometimes we'd go down to his house, and his dad had this cool computer room set up with like a little like a color. Like the first color computers that you had the little floppy drive that you pop in and it's got a game on it. And one of the games was Dune. And it's where you just like, you have these silos and you're getting these silos to fill up and you're bringing it back. And then when you fill up some stuff, you can buy and build like your
spice.
Get all your spice. And then you build your, your silos and your, more people to help you fight. And you got to either be Atreides, like the 3 different kinds. You had to pick which one you're going to be. And we played that game for hours. I had no idea what it was, why it was there, what the game was, the story, that there was a book about it, or none of that stuff. I didn't know anything. That game was fun. The movie came out like it was like in the 80s or 90s or something.
With the David Lynch version.
Stupidest movie. Could not watch it. Was not entertaining.
Is that the Sting and Ernest Borgnine?
I will kill you.
Like, and then so I just was done with Dune, right? And then
Finkelstein and Einhorn.
This last one that they did, where they really put some money into it. They have a good cat. I like that Zenato girl,
Zendaya.
Zendaya.
Yeah.
She's in some stuff on HBO, that Euphoria and everything. She's just so good. I like her a lot. I liked the way they wrote the story and the effects. Like, it was really well done. So this next one, I'm looking forward to watching it personally.
I think the fact that they take time. I think the fact that they took time to make 2 series shows that they want to be dedicated to the plot, and they're pretty dedicated. And I mean, first of all, I have to give credit to the original Dune. It looked like a mess, but I think they did a pretty good job trying to adapt an epic sci-fi novel, which that's what it was, an epic sci-fi novel. On the other hand, they try to condense so much. To me, like, they started rushing things after the Atreides were betrayed. Yeah. After that, they tried to rush it in, which is understandable. But after I saw the first one, I was like, all right, now let's watch the Timothy Chalamet version, which was it went really deep into the Atreides, into actually everyone's character build-up for the most part.
It was a cool one, man. I liked it.
So I can't wait to watch it. You asked which horror movie I've seen recently. I saw The Pope's Exorcist with Russell Crowe.
How was it?
Well, I only watched it because I love Russell Crowe, but I'm not a fan of Exorcist movies. Make me laugh for some reason.
They're just like it is the same song and dance every time.
Bring me the priest.
There's one good one. This is the end. Jonah Hill played a really good version of this exorcism.
Oh, I like that one. Yeah.
Oh, I heard that movie. This is the end.
I'll just leave. I'm just gonna, we're gonna end this episode. I'm just gonna leave that cliffhanger. Go watch Jonah Hill and do his exorcism theme on "This Is the End." I won't tell you what happens.
If I could throw in one recommendation for horror movies, I wouldn't say it's the scariest movie, but I would say it's the greatest haunted house movie I've ever seen. And I read the book. Shirley Jackson, who is one of the people who has inspired Stephen King, wrote you've heard of it, The Haunting of Hill House.
Yes, I've heard of that.
She wrote a book. They made 2 movie adaptations of it and a Netflix series on it. The series is not that loyal. It's not loyal to the novel, but it does a great job with its own interpretation.
Is it better than House of a Thousand Corpses?
To me, it's way better than a House.
Are there prettier women in it?
You will not see.
Rob Zombie's wife is hot.
Is it better than Silent Hill?
It's well, here's the deal. You will not see gore. You will not see too many supernatural idea but to me, the thing about where Shirley Jackson captures the heart of horror, it lies in the psychological nature of the characters. One of the characters has psychological issues, and she's in the house. The thing about it is, was the house really haunted, or was it all in our minds? Was the notion of horror the house's backstory? Was it the house that was some spiritual entity that tormented its inhabitants, or was there something? Was there an issue? Give you two great examples before I wrap up. One, when they're sleeping, they keep on hearing loud bangings at the door, but there's nobody there, and they don't know. But again, was there loud banging, or was that something within the minds of the inhabitants? Another one is
video recording, audio recording. Yep.
The main character and one of the women that was living in the house, they were sharing a bed. And I think in the scene they're sharing a bed, but when she was sleeping, she felt a cold hand touch her, and she tells the other girl, "Please stop," or let go, or something. She turned around, and she wasn't touching her at all. She felt a cold hand touching her. But again, this is the essence of horror. To determine whether a good horror story, it's not about shock value. I mean, kind of shock value. The shock value has to reside on how we perceive it to drive it. How we perceive it is the element that drives us to our seats.
For sure.
Because it would give you great anxiety to not know if it was in your head or under your bed.
No doubt.
Right?
Because we ask, what makes a good horror story, or what is truth? And we want to be informed of ourselves.
Yeah,
Horror puts us in that maze of emotions.
Horror. Exactly. Halloween's coming up, fellas.
Can't wait.
Guys, thank y'all for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Awesome logistic rules.
Oh yeah, shout out to
shout out.
Chris Vandeviver from Y Logic Pro Rules. Got these cool coffee.
Dude, these
cups.
coffee mugs are awesome.
I can't wait.
Yeah, check it out.
And I got gummy eyeballs that kind of were the shape of gummy boobs.
Dark chocolate
I
on
will think of them
strawberries.
as gummy boobs.
Okay.
Personally.
I'm glad you guys like them.
Episode 176. You did a great job throwing the ball today.
Thank you, Scott.
The dogs are exercised. They
wound him down.
Are very happy. He's been throwing dogs off of him for an hour. It's like every 2 minutes, a different dog.
Look at that. They love him though.
Che, thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you for
As
inviting
always,
me.
Man. Thanks for taking the time out. I know you're busy, so thanks for coming and hanging.
Super thankful.
Yeah, man. Until next time, we out.
Check out.
Daisy's in a tube top, screaming from the top of her lungs. This all ends tonight. Daddy's on the floor, he's screaming for more, saying you're gonna be alright. Daisy's in a tube top, screaming from the top of her lungs. This all ends tonight. Daddy's on the floor, he's screaming for more, saying you're gonna be alright.
Dude, that's just killer. Oh, dude, that was awesome.